Tonight on To The Point. Could homes built with the input of the insurance companies be the solution to the state's crisis? One homeowner shares their experience. Governor Newsom announcing billions for affordable housing. Why some Republican lawmakers are worried about accountability. Plus addressing the fentanyl crisis in Sacramento County Jail.
Since the beginning of the year, my officers and medical staff have administered 75 doses of Narcan to inmates.
What the sheriff is doing to keep inmates safe. And later, an invasive species is taking over Lake Tahoe. Tonight, we investigate what's being done to manage the problem.
Good evening. As always, thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. And Placer County wants Governor Gavin Newsom to declare a state of emergency when it comes to the insurance crisis here in California. We brought you this news last week after county supervisors sent this letter to Newsom and the state insurance commissioner. Well, tonight we follow up with a Placer County homeowner who we met 5 years ago, who moved in part because his insurance was just so high. Now he's paying a fraction of the price from his former insurance premium without even leaving Placer County. ABC 10's Becca Habecker explains.
But something needs to be done.
We first met Craig Casey in 2019 at a town hall held by California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara. Craig was there because he and his wife had spent thousands of dollars hardening their nearly 5-acre North Auburn property against wildfire risk, and their insurance company still dropped them. They were forced to go to the bare bones FAIR plan, costing them about $4,000 at the time just for fire coverage.
It's unfortunate. We need insurance, so we have to pay it.
Statewide, California's homeowners insurance crisis of affordability and availability has only gotten worse in the past 5 years, with most of the major carriers pausing or limiting business here, citing the rising risk of wildfires, high cost of building materials, and what they consider burdensome state regulations.
It's truly a crisis.
Last week, as ABC 10 reported, Placer County supervisors sent a letter to Governor Newsom and Commissioner Lara asking them to do more to alleviate the crisis and faster. So I reached back out to Craig Casey to see how his insurance situation had changed since we last spoke.
I'm in a different place than I was 5 years ago.
Literally, Craig and his wife moved from their rural property in North Auburn to this new development in Lincoln, Esplanade at Turkey Creek. He says insurance was one of several factors in that decision. Between fire insurance with the FAIR plan and a so-called difference in conditions policy that covers other risks, they were paying about $7,500 per year. Now, for full coverage of their home,
I'm paying $790 a year for everything, and I have very generous coverage on content and everything else.
The developer of this gated community is Taylor Morrison, which owns Taylor Morrison Insurance Services, an agent recommended to the Caseys after they closed on the purchase of the house. Craig says they offered him that less than $800 a year premium through Universal North America Insurance Company. We reached out to the developer, Taylor Morrison. A spokesperson said Taylor Morrison provides insurance options to customers building a home with the company. While purchasing insurance through the company is not required and customers can select any provider, Taylor Morrison strives to offer insurance options that best meet buyers' needs. Casey says he'd still like to see California's insurance market stabilize.
It's a huge problem in this state.
Commissioner Lara has proposed major changes to California's insurance regulations, which he promises will be in effect by the end of this year. In Placer County, Becca Habecker, ABC 10.
We reached out to the California Building Industry Association to ask if they're seeing other developers offer insurance to people buying new homes. A spokesperson said the person who could address that question wasn't in the office today. Today, Governor Gavin Newsom signed a package of bills that aim to streamline housing and address homelessness here in California. The new laws will mandate that local governments plan for housing for vulnerable residents, including those experiencing homelessness, streamline housing production, strengthen enforcement and penalties around state housing laws, as well as increase stricter timelines and requirements for local governments to report housing progress. Newsom says these laws will help increase accountability around performative approaches.
There is no doubt the state of mind for most Californians that I think connects more Californians is a recognition that the original sin in this state is affordability and impacts more people in more ways on more days, and that's the issue of cost of housing. And it's that imbalance of supply and demand. It's a challenge we've been addressing for a number of months, but we're strengthening and we're tightening up our efforts around the accountability frame.
Newsom also announced the launch of Home Key Plus. It's a program that works to acquire and rehabilitate buildings that can be turned into permanent affordable housing. Newsom has allocated $2.2 billion in funding from Prop 1 into the program, which is estimated to create about 4,000 housing units. Now, many people have criticized Newsom's track record with homeless funding, citing that audit that was released back in April. It found that California spent $24 billion over 5 years to tackle homelessness, but didn't consistently track whether the money was improving the situation or the outcomes of the programs. State Senator Roger Nilo, who co-requested the audit, responded to Newsom's announcement today, saying in part, quote, "I certainly applaud more housing, more accountability, and more transparency. However, the administration's track record does not instill a great deal of confidence this will occur. More money with no accountability will not lead to a positive outcome. I urge the governor to instead look for cost-effective solutions that prioritize a pathway to self-sufficiency." After almost a decade of service today, Mayor Darrell Steinberg gave his last State of the City address in Sacramento. He reflected on the work that he's been able to accomplish and what still needs to be done. He says over the last 82 days he has left, he will work on some major downtown initiatives that could come close to rivaling Aggie Square if they happen. In his accomplishments, the mayor also says that he never promised to solve homelessness, but strides have been made. Unsheltered homelessness has reduced by 41% since 2022, according to the latest point-in-time count.
The state of our Sacramento is strong and will continue to be strong no matter the crisis. Crime is down citywide by 13.6%. This is on top of last year's record reduction of 18%.
On November 5th, Sacramento voters will decide a new mayor. The race is between Dr. Flo Kofer and Assemblymember Kevin McCarty. And today, Mayor Steinberg said he would be there to assist the person who takes his seat. New tonight, the California Secretary of State's office has confirmed that a suspicious package was received at the state headquarters today. Investigators say field testing by state law enforcement revealed the material was non-hazardous and tested positive for unbleached flour. Right now, the FBI is investigating suspicious packages sent to election officials in at least 15 other states. Tonight, the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office is addressing the fentanyl crisis. In the last 14 months, there have been 6 confirmed or suspected in custody fentanyl deaths in the Sacramento County Jail. ABC 10's Devin Truby explains what the sheriff is doing to combat this crisis.
In the Sacramento County Jail, opioid overdose kits are everywhere in holding cells in general population areas, and there's a good reason why.
Since the beginning of the year, deputies have recovered over 500 grams of narcotics and fentanyl that arrestees have tried to smuggle into the jail. That's enough fentanyl to kill the entire population of Elk Grove.
In the last 9 months, the sheriff's office says 110 doses of Narcan have been administered to inmates, either by deputy or another inmate. Sheriff Jim Cooper says fentanyl seizures primarily come from new arrestees and inmates turning themselves in for weekend sentences.
This person knows they're coming to the jail, so what do? They secrete drugs in their body cavity. Our inability to conduct cavity searches and the limitation of body scan equipment, it is impossible for us to catch it all.
Here are 2 examples of body scans. On the right, a woman hiding substances under her breast. The left, a man hiding drugs inside himself. Another roadblock the sheriff's office is up against. They say family members on the outside are orchestrating drug deals for inmates using hard-to-trace methods like Venmo and Cash App. Here's one recorded call with a family member discussing the transaction.
But normally you tell me it gets here at 1 o'clock, babe. That's how it happens every time, and now you're telling me it's not here?
That's just what it said. It said it was arrived at 6.
But Sheriff Cooper says he's most troubled by the relaxed attitude on such a dangerous subject captured in this call.
Oh, fentanyl, I died twice right there in my cell. They brought me back. They're like, they pronounced you dead. I was like, they said you were blue.
All right, sir, go ahead and step on in. Put your feet on the exits.
To combat this crisis, Cooper says they've recently changed the strip search policy at the jail to include everyone who's staying at the jail.
Since we've changed that policy now in the last month, we've recovered 35 grams of fentanyl, 60 grams of methamphetamine, and 11 different cases of smuggling.
Fentanyl is often hidden in drugs like counterfeit pills.
And incoming inmates are shown a video on the dangers of fentanyl. Reporting in Sacramento County, Devin Truby, ABC 10.
Still ahead, an invasive threat taking over Lake Tahoe, the impact it could have on the water, and what can be done to stop it.
The first day of fall kicking off this Sunday at 5:43 a.m. What we can expect it to feel like and how warm we may get into next week.
Meteorologist Carly Gomez with a look at our forecast. Cool weather, though, ending, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, all those cool temperatures we've been feeling this week are coming to an end. We've hit the 80s, and now we are going to continue to feel those temperatures warming this weekend. Now, the Sierra and Foothill thunderstorms we have this afternoon and evening are starting to come to an end. We're seeing a lot of them beginning to dwindle off, and then gusty delta winds have picked up this evening. They'll continue this weekend as well, but warm and hot into next week. So the winter weather advisory here until 8 p.m. Most of the lightning strikes have begun to stop. We are still seeing a few scattered showers, even lighter now from Arnold up towards South Lake Tahoe, and a few of them still happening for the Yosemite area. Now, the high pressure system just off the Pacific, that will continue to move on over for us into the weekend. That'll strengthen, bringing us warmer temperatures as well. That low pressure system does shift towards Southern California and then exit our region as it moves toward areas of Salt Lake City and into Colorado for the weekend. But the heat will continue for us, and that'll bring us mid-90s even as we start off the work week. Most of the showers begin to leave our region, I'd say in the next hour, hour and a half. Then we start getting mostly clear skies and sunshine for us through the weekend. And here's where we see a difference happening. That trough begins to weaken and shift east. We start to get that big ridge building in place here. That hot weather comes in Monday and Tuesday in the mid-90s. And we get somewhat of a zonal flow, a little back and forth between the mid to low 90s throughout the week. And then we'll continue to feel those temperatures in those 90s even through next weekend. Just take a look at overnight lows are nice, mid-50s to upper 50s and then eventually low 60s. But low 90s quickly on the first day of fall become mid-90s. And then that trend pretty much continues through next weekend.
Next, on to the point, investigating Tahoe's invasive threat, what's being done to manage the invaders that impact on our water, and how you might be able to help. As summer comes to an end, scientists are scrambling to size up the newest threat to Lake Tahoe. For the first time in years, a new invasive species is spreading in the lake water. ABC 10 reporter Brandon Ritteman explains the threat the invaders pose to Lake Tahoe and what you can do to help.
Lake Tahoe is famous for two things: being very big and very blue. Blue because Tahoe holds some of the purest lake water on Earth, but we can't take it for granted. Today, the purity of Tahoe's water is under constant threat, a threat that's easy to miss unless you look deeper.
But we're concerned. It's a new aquatic invasive species.
Dennis Zabaglo is in charge of managing invasive species for the Bi-State Tahoe Regional Planning Agency. We took to the water looking for Tahoe's newest invader, which is only as big as a grain of rice. These little spots dotting the sand off the shore of South Lake Tahoe are snails. They come from a different hemisphere. New Zealand mud snails.
Unfortunately, with New Zealand mud snails, there's not a recognized control method to treat them.
When the snails first showed up in the lake last year, we explained how the little trap door in their bodies allows them to survive being eaten alive by fish and birds. Whenever a new critter moves into Lake Tahoe, it messes up the food chain, and it can add nutrients into the lake water. Algae is already growing more easily in Lake Tahoe thanks to a warming climate. Invasive species only make it worse. And if you get enough algae, a blue lake turns green.
From an ecological standpoint, they're bad, but also from a tourism and recreation experience, they're very bad as well.
On top of being tiny and resilient, the mud snails can also reproduce asexually, making clones of themselves. Now that they're here, there's no way to get them out of Tahoe. The best case scenario is
to contain where they are. So if you come off the lake with your paddlecraft or even your motorized boat, you want to clean, drain, and dry after you leave the lake as well, so you're not spreading them to the next water body you may visit.
Clean, drain, and dry is already a mantra at Lake Tahoe. Boat inspections have been mandatory since 2008, designed to keep out another invader.
We've already had at least 17 boats with quagga mussels this year come from various locations: Southern California, Southern Nevada, Southern Arizona, Lake Powell, Southern Utah.
Quagga mussels are native to Ukraine. They've caused untold millions of damage, spreading through lakes around the U.S. over the past 2 decades. Whenever there's water still in the engine or hull of a boat that shows up for inspection, it gets decontaminated.
We fire this up, it's using on-demand hot water heaters, raising it to 120 to 140 degrees, and we're flushing that area out to make sure whatever's in there is dead.
16 years in, boaters are used to paying their fees and getting their Tahoe tags, but they're still pulling into temporary cleaning stations. That's about to change. Permanent inspection stations are being placed on both the California and Nevada sides of Lake Tahoe in the name of keeping new invaders out. Back on the water, our boat pulls into an iconic place, Tahoe's most photographed spot. One of Tahoe's earliest invaders has hit Emerald Bay hard, over and over again. Invasive underwater weeds carpeting the lake bottom.
The initial effort was 6 acres, and that took about 4 years, and this smaller was 2 years.
Because it kind of came back. Like crabgrass.
Yeah, we didn't have the money to keep surveying it.
Each acre of underwater weeds costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to eradicate. It's not like you can just go down there with a lawnmower.
3-4 divers in the water, 8 hours at a time, hand pulling weeds one by one.
Tahoe's been fighting and never quite winning the war against these weeds since the 1980s. It's become a multi-million-dollar problem each year. And that's a potent reminder. Each new species of plant or animal in the lake can disrupt the conditions that keep it blue. Collectively, we have the power to stop invasive species from spreading in and out of Tahoe, making sure everything we put in the water, paddle boards, boats, even our beach toys and shoes, making all of that clean, drained, and dry can give us a chance. In South Lake Tahoe, Brandon Rittiman, ABC 10 News.
All right, Brandon's been following this for us. Very fascinating, but I have to ask you, the New Zealand mud snail, it's only been around for about a year, but how fast are they growing?
That's one of the biggest questions we have right now. Within just the last couple of hours, we did get good news on that front. The TRPA tells us that DNA testing from all of the tributaries that flow into Lake Tahoe, they all came back negative for the New Zealand mud snail. That means there is no evidence of the snails moving upriver. That is awesome news. As for the lake itself, divers are still surveying a grid on the lake bottom. It's 10 miles long by 1 mile wide. Last year, they only found snails on the south shore of Tahoe between Ski Run Marina and Pope Beach. This year's data, which should be ready in the weeks ahead, is going to tell us if they've moved beyond that area. We're told it's not uncommon for them to have an explosion of population and then have that really dial back. But Tahoe is such a unique ecosystem, it's really tough to say what they're going to do in there.
Yeah. Well,
where they are, there's a lot of them. Yeah. I'll tell you that.
Well, we know you'll keep following this for us, so thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
All right. Now to our next story. In other news tonight, a Sacramento Sheriff's airplane had to make an emergency landing today. It happened around 8:20 this morning in West Sacramento. The Sheriff's office says the plane was headed to Woodland for a routine oil change. When the pilot reported engine failure, he was able to get out without getting hurt. Roseville police are investigating after an early morning car explosion. It happened around 6 a.m. on Circuit Drive. Officers say they were called to the area for vehicle vandalism. When they got there, they found an explosive device was detonated inside the car. Police believe the car was targeted. Tonight, the Sacramento Unified School Board will decide the fate of 2 charter schools. Public School 7 and Sacramento Charter High are both operated by St. Hope Public Schools. St. Hope is hoping for a 5-year renewal. A report to the district earlier this year alleged several major violations, including financial irregularities and potential conflicts of interest. St. Hope says it's working to address the concerns, and we do have a crew at the meeting right now. We'll bring you more on those board decisions tonight on Late News Tonight at 11. And stay with us. We're back after this break. That is our show tonight. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. You already know if you have something that we should be looking into, reach out to me and the team. Remember, strangers are people we just haven't gotten the chance to meet yet, so take the time to get to know someone. And To the Point does not end here. To watch stories featured on our show, make sure you download our free ABC 10 app. Hey, it's Alex. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. The To The Point team and I love hearing from you, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. And don't forget, you can always email me and the team at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send us a text message at 916-321-3310.